Hey loves, it's Britt, and in this video I'm finishing, this is the last video, you guys, my Venus Through the Houses series, Venus in the Natal Chart series. So this video I'm going to talk about lovely Venus in the 11th house. Save the best for last. Just kidding. I love them all. But this one is definitely really beautiful in its own way. So, when Venus, the love planet, the planet of what we find pleasure in, what we value, is located in the 11th house of friends, groups, and also our dreams. Our dreams when we're awake, like what we aspire to do in this lifetime, whereas the 12th house is like our dreams when we're asleep and our unconscious. So, when Venus is here, there's a pretty easygoing personality in most cases. Now, it can also be a little bit too easygoing as far as like these dreams go. There can be a lot of, dreams and goals for life, but because Venus can be kind of a lazier energy, it takes a lot to kind of like get stirred to like take action towards these dreams. And that's the interesting thing about Venus here is that you can sometimes be a bit more of a dreamer than a doer. But even with that, your dreams are still so much bigger and you take so much pleasure in them that, like, just by sheer imagination, you can accomplish a lot. And also, you're really good socially with this placement. It is effortless for you to get people to like you. You're a warm, kind, charismatic person as far as groups go. So it's easy for you to like walk into a room and have everybody magnetized to you and want to hear what you have to say. And it's even more favorable like for groups than one-on-one, actually. That's where this really comes out. This charm, this charisma, this grace is in a group setting. So when you're with a group of people, yeah, you really easily become liked in that group. But at the same time with Venus here, there's also like I found like a bit of like a pickiness towards what group you're going to actually be involved in. So like every group might want you to be a part of their group, but because Venus is something that it's like you really want to value the group. You really want to be involved in only what you take pleasure in and what you love. So like you can be actually with this placement like because friendship and groups are so sacred to you and something that you really value, you're not going to just like flit about and like go in, all these different groups. Like it has to be like the ones you love. And so like you can actually find yourself like with this placement sometimes rejecting, like you're rejecting different groups or friends. Like you just want to be a part of like the ones that really are meaningful to you. And it's like everybody wants you, everybody wants to be your friend, but friendship is something that you take really seriously and you like have like a love for your friends. And so sometimes actually, and this might be surprising, there might be like less close friends because like when someone becomes a friend, it becomes like this energetic exchange for you, like this deep love, like this soulmate thing that like you don't like want to give that to just anybody. Now, if Venus is in Aquarius or Gemini or something, that's going to be totally different and you can be friends with like everybody. But if Venus is in a more introverted sign or a pickier sign, then you can actually see that there's like this very high standard of like the type of people that we want to be with. And even I don't want to say like a snobbiness, but like it's definitely like, and maybe it's actually because Venus doesn't have a lot of boundaries. Like, so when you do let people in, you want to make sure that like they're the right people for you because there's like your love knows no bounds in that area. So it's just like it's a sacred thing to you. But yeah, there is gifts for all types of like social settings. And like, it's not like, not that you don't feel socially anxious ever, but you definitely don't come off like that. You come off as very confident or very pleasing, very easygoing. You probably come off more easygoing than you actually are, with Venus in the 11th house. And you can really have a love for like, what gives you pleasure. Like, you want to be involved in groups and things for your pleasure and your joy, and like, these things are sacred to you. And so there's really a lot of energy for, like I said, the right people and the right groups that really make you feel seen and at home. And like, that's in one way, like, this placement is kind of like seeking like the perfect like soul tribe. When you have Venus in the 11th house, like, you're really seeking that, and like, that can be hard to find. So it can be kind of like a quest, and especially if Venus is in, any hard aspects, we might feel like the perpetual longing for like this group that really sees us, like this friend group, right? But it's a lot easier to manifest it than like Pluto in the 11th or something like that. But yeah, there is this like desire and seeking and valuing highly, because wherever Venus is, this is something we really value, and it's not usually hard for us to attract it, but it's definitely something meaningful. And with Venus in the 11th, it is like, we do have a natural charm and grace with people and groups of people, and people can, yeah, like I said, see you a lot more like as this like easygoing person than you might actually be. So, but you really do have a big heart with this placement, a big heart for humanity. You have dreams of like everybody getting along, and you're probably like the kind of person, right? You don't want wars. Like, you have this dream of like this utopia, like reality of oneness. And like, if you're spiritually inclined at all, you can really connect with the feeling of oneness with all of life. That's a very 11th house energy, I find, is tapping into like this like connection with all people. So you can kind of like feel connected with people from all walks of life, like, but at the same time, like, not like it's impersonally connected, right? And that, people might actually find that about you to be annoying. Like, if you're dating someone with Venus in the 11th house, like, there's this very impersonal energy. Like, they're very good at like taking a step back and like seeing things from the big picture and like the big perspective. But when it comes to like personal love and caring in the one-on-one setting, they might be more uncomfortable with that. They're more comfortable with like the group setting and sharing their love that way. But when it comes to these personal, one-on-one, intimate, emotional entanglements, Venus in the 11th house can be too out there for that. They're not as much here as they're everywhere. So it's a great placement for like astrologers or people who work in like a humanitarian setting, right? Where you have to like take a step back and you're not thinking of yourself, and you're depersonalizing things, right? There's actually a gift for that. So there's a gift for like being able to look at the big picture and see things like impersonally. But yeah, your lovers, and not your friends, but your lovers might find that you're a little bit not always not always there. And there can also be a love of like even being connected like virtually, like there's a love for like an online group or something, like, or you're super connected and passionate about your like humanitarian group that you're a part of, but then at home you're like just wanting to be there, right? So you can actually see some like escapist qualities with Venus in the 11th house. And even in a sense, like Venus, of course, can be pleasure seeking and like kind of like hedonistic, right? And with this placement, it's like sometimes they can be so focused on the far off and the like the dreams that are not happening in the present, but like the far off vision, that like it can be hard to bring them back down to reality in the here and now, and like be like, okay, well, but your kid is crying or something. But it's like we're focused on like the big picture, and that's not going to be in all cases, of course. Air signs are going to be the most like detached, but yeah, when we have an 11th house placement of a personal planet like Moon or Venus, there is sometimes the danger that like there's so much emphasis and love for like these like a more social groups. It's like a more social placement, but then when it comes to the like intimate details of day-to-day life, sometimes those are just not as much of a focus, right? Which, yeah, can be a difficulty, but overall, like this placement is, it's going to show a person who is, I would say, like I said, a more lighthearted energy. It's actually, it's kind of like a breath of fresh air when we have Venus in a house like this. There can be a lot of joy and pleasure and soulmate connections that are non-romantic. And you could see being friends first with a lover, or being lovers and then friends, and like being okay with those transitions. Now, probably not if Venus is in like Scorpio or Taurus or even Leo, but like usually there's a more impersonal quality to Venus here that like, yeah, we can be friends with someone we've loved. Like we're able to do that and be comfortable doing that. And like the love that we share for our friends is so deep that it's easy for it to become romantic. And like when we have someone who we share a dream with, or we share like a love for a certain cause, right? Or we share a love for astrology, that really is significant to someone with Venus in the 11th. It's like having that shared dream or that shared like pursuit or whatever it is, like that's also a way that they can fall in love, is because of these kind of like shared dreams. Now, they also can be more prone to like loving unusual people, like people that are doing something that's kind of like out there or weird or different. And you can have, with Venus in the 11th house, a more accepting aura of like all the different unique manifestations of a person, right? So they're like one of the lesser judgmental placements of Venus is Venus in the 11th house, where you could kind of be like the weirdest freak ever, and they're gonna actually probably be attracted to that and have pleasure in existing amongst all of the weird freaks of life because they themselves can identify as that, right? Like they know they're kind of like not made from the same stuff as everybody. And so yeah, so what else do I want to say about Venus in the 11th house? Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just like this open energy. It's this kind of like light, open energy that's really unique, and like I said, really a breath of fresh air. And yeah, I'd love to know your experience of this placement. If you have it, what has it been like for you? Sending you all the love. Thank you for watching, you guys, and talk soon. Bye.